Hey guys, I'm making this video as a pseudo response to the King Raja video that just dropped. It's called, I think, the TF2 rant. It's not only a response to that, but also a response to a lot of the negativity and the rage, honestly, that's been going around in the forums. I prepared like a written thing. I can show you. Look at that. Is that not impressive? But I tried to record it, and it just didn't feel right. And so I just want to speak to you from the heart. I might look at this if I lose my train of thought, but I really just want to talk about the negativity more than anything else. I'm probably going to end up titling this video Best Update, Worst Execution. I think that a lot of people are upset about this update, and I get it. It was hyped, it was released, and it was broken on release. But I think that if we take a step back, look at the long-term plan for TF2, and look at the actual contents of this update, not just how it released, but how it's going to affect the future of TF2, I think that this is an update that we as a community can and should rally behind and be appreciative for. I'm going to read one part of this. It was a list of things that this update gave us. Where is it? The 9-year wait for matchmaking is over. Community servers are making a rebound. There is a fun way to somewhat seriously play casual TF2. Pyro and Heavy, the two least liked classes generally by other players, are getting fixed, probably buffed a little bit. The Soldier can play the trombone. 3 fantastic, competitively tested community maps have been added to the game in a single update. We now have a modern main menu. The stopwatch UI is fixed. We got in-game demo recording. We got almost an hour of new voice lines added to the game. Past timers released, if that's your cup of tea. Multiple bugs were fixed. Valve is actually going to pay attention to what HUD developers need now, at least from what I've heard. Soldier has a freaking trombone. I mean, this update list goes on for a while. There are a lot of things in this update, and every single one of these things is awesome, especially the Soldier trombone. That taunt is amazing. And so I think that when people get stuck on the short term, when they want to play this update right now, which is understandable, and I get that frustration, but when you want this update to be perfect the second it releases like a huge AAA title, we need to face it as a community that TF2 is a 9-year-old game with a at least somewhat limited development staff dedicated to it that just got an update that shouldn't happen to 9-year-old games. New queues, new features, weapon balances, all sorts of things, new maps. All of this stuff is awesome, and it speaks volumes for the direction that TF2 is headed. And I think that if we focus on the negative as a community, it may make us feel good in the short term, and it may make us finally be able to voice that pent-up upsetness that we have, that TF2 isn't a major esport game, whatever you want to name it. But if you don't think that adding matchmaking is a huge deal, then I would boldly assert that I don't think you've given too much thought to it. And I don't mean to sound rude, but I think that unfortunately right now, the RTF2 subreddit is a bastion of poorly informed, low-effort opinions, that are shared among an angry mob, And that's just how I feel. And if you feel like RTF2 is saving TF2 by screaming and shouting about the things that Valve is gonna fix anyways, like long queue times, I think that you're part of the problem much more than you think Valve is part of the problem. And I hate to be that guy that says, no, you're wrong, it's this way or whatever. But that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that I think if we just, as a community, were more positive about stuff, these updates, more positive about the long-term future of this game, which Valve is clearly caring about by adding matchmaking and completely changing up the way that things work, I think that we would be much more appreciative of the changes that Valve has made. I think that there's a lot of very serious concerns that were raised, but they were just raised in such a silly way that it's really hard to take them seriously. The stress tests, I agree. They weren't good at testing the stress, and the system was very broken on release, but it was fixed. It was pretty much fixed within hours. It was completely fixed within a few days. And so I think that as a community, a much smaller community than I think a lot of people think about TF2 being, we should be appreciative of this kind of thing, of this kind of update. And that doesn't mean that we have to like everything in the update. That doesn't mean that we can't talk about things that we dislike in the update. Like, I don't get why they changed some of the stats the way they did. I think that stats are getting more and more complicated, and I think that that's not a good thing. But I don't go onto Reddit and yell about it in a nerd essay. I think about it. I form an actual opinion on it rather than one that, you think of while you're typing it out. And I'm able to talk about it because I can actually, I actually have thought about it enough to where I have ideas in my head and I can just talk about it like I am doing right now about this update. That's one of the reasons that I waited so long. And I know that Raja waited long on this update too to make his video, and that we feel very differently about it. But I think that that's frustration that every TF2 player gets at some point in time. Because if you do just look at the short term, which I'm not necessarily saying Raja is, but a lot of people are, if you only look at the short term, some of the updates seem really ridiculous. But if you look at the long term, every recent update has been fantastic for the game. Everything. And so I just want, more than anything, for people to separate the update from the execution of the update. Because I agree, the execution of the update wasn't good. It was mediocre at best, and I'm sure that Valve is kicking themselves about it. But the update? This is the best update the TF2 has ever gotten. It wasn't on day one, but it is now. And it will be. And it will be the driving force behind TF2's continued, somehow, existence as a 9-year-old game, class-based first-person shooter. I think that a lot of the negativity is coming on the heels of Overwatch, and people don't want Valve to mess it up. They don't want Valve to mess TF2 up because maybe they don't like Overwatch. Maybe they want TF2 to still be a thing. And I can tell you, as somebody who has been through many a wave of TF2 killers, Overwatch is a little bit different from them, but TF2 is going to be around. And I think that if you only take one thing away from this talk that we've had, you and me have had, I want it to be that TF2 is the best game that currently exists, in my opinion. And this is the best update that TF2 has ever had, in my opinion. And I think that there are issues with it. There are legitimate concerns with this update, like the way that abandons are handled. It's a serious thing. It's not the best way to handle it. But I think that if we, as a community, instead of getting mad about every single thing, would just say kindly and with a smile on our faces, Valve, we know that you're working on stuff, you're fixing a lot of the issues that the update had, and you're fixing other things as well, but could you please, change the way abandons are handled? And I think that that would form a much healthier relationship between Valve and the player base that we have here. I just don't get why people get so mad about it. It's a video game. And I get that this video game means a lot. It means a lot to me. TF2 is a very important thing to me. More important than a lot of things. Not everything, but a lot of things. And so I get the deep down emotion that some people have about stuff and that change can be bad. But I just want people to take a moment to step back, look at the bigger picture with a smile on your face and say, this game's pretty okay. You know? This game's pretty okay. That's all I have. As always, guys, thank you so much. I'm so glad I didn't read this stupid script. It's not even good. But thank you so much for listening to this stream of consciousness that I just had. It's something that's been building up and I've been thinking about a lot, and I'm glad to just share it. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I will hopefully see you in the next one. If you haven't subscribed, it's a thing you can do. It's great. It's a great little feature YouTube has. Okay. I think I'm done. I'm gonna watch this to make sure I didn't like pick my nose or whatever, and then I'm gonna put it on YouTube and share it. Awesome. Go team.